K24 TV. You can also SMS us on 21222. Therein, you can also WhatsApp us. Our WhatsApp line is at the bottom of the screen therein. We'll now move to the Standard. Before the break, we're talking about an alleged scheme to impeach Uhuru. On page 4 of your Standard, it's a possible impeachment that might happen today. Senators determine Waititu's fate today. They will vote to either keep him in office or sack him over claims of abuse of office. And yesterday we had a witness statement as to what impropriety must have happened, or might have happened rather, at the county as far as tenders were concerned, the people behind these tenders, conflict of interest as well. But the governor also put his case forward and said there was no proof to this. The allegations that his daughter's accounts had 100 million Kenyan shillings. If you looked at the bank statements, they only had 9,000 shillings. And he said this is what the media has been propagating. He has the documents to prove it. Yes. And as I talked about those sums of money, I saw a look on Ben Muller's face. Why? You don't believe that?
No, I do, because there is a position I've taken very consistently before now we delve into that. We must run away from this exercise that the DPP and the DCI are treating to Kenyans on theatrics and public relations. It is one thing to allege and say things in a very fancy manner. It is a very different ballgame to prove some of this. And I have consistently said, you cannot take fitina to court and expect to achieve much. To brandish, to tarnish people's names on newspaper headlines and all those things is a very easy process. And I'll give you an example. Like it has been alleged, if indeed, as Waititu alleges, those bank statements of the daughter provided 9,000 shillings, yet the newspapers reported, then you realize there is a problem in terms of what is being presented to the public. I'll give you another example. It is now 2 months since the Nairobi governor, Sonko, was arrested very dramatically. And on TV, the DPP announced very boldly that he has sufficient evidence to sustain a prosecution. 2 days ago, when they went to court, up to this date, the DPP has been unable to provide the defense counsel, either with the witness statements or with the evidence he has, or even who are the witnesses. So you realize we must run away from these theatrics. And actually, as we were having a conversation behind the scenes, we must also look at critically the kinds of prosecutions we're being treated to. Those who are appearing to be allied to BBI, or who are appearing to be more BBI than Tanga are shielded. We have cases, the Auditor General has continued to flag cases since 2013. Yet we have seen, actually, like in certain counties, I don't want to mention in Nyanza, where corruption has been the order of the day. Yet we haven't seen this kind of drama. So we must run away from this dramatization of issues, because, again, I hope today the Senate remains very objective. Because Waititu is currently charged in a court of law, where there are allegations of corruption and impunity and all that. The Senate actually also operates in the same capacity as a court of law. So this would be double jeopardy in legal parlance, whereby the Senate is actually charging an individual with the same crimes. In my view, the Senate needs to dismiss this matter until there's a conclusion in court. Then once the court finds Waititu guilty, the MCAs can actually impeach him the same day, and then the Senate can pass the same motion the same day. But this idea of mistreating people and abusing the rule of law must come to an end.
Honorable Njomo, let me come to you, because this is quite close to home as you look at this particular impeachment taking place. Of course, some of the allegations that were made in yesterday's witness statement, talking about some of the companies that got tenders to the government, and was a clear conflict of interest because his daughters were directors in that company. There was also an allegation of him facilitating the irregular transfer of 2 plots to Mrs. Esther Wamoyo Nyatu, a wife and mother of his children, that of the governor. But he came and said that he had never met these people, he had never made any call of that nature. And here we are yet again. We've seen governors go to the Senate. We've never had an impeachment happen. Even with these allegations made, do you feel this might be second time the charm?
I first want to comment on what he said and putting up a case of double jeopardy.
Right.
There is provision in law that if you are involved in a crime, you can be taken to a court of law for the crime that you have committed.
Right.
There's a provision in law that if you are corrupt, if you go against certain standards within your work, you can be impeached.
Right.
And one system does not stop the other. Because you are being impeached because you have been found not to measure up to the work that you have been given.
Right.
So you'll be put aside. You'll continue with your court cases. So I would not say that we stop one process because another one is going on. 2, I hope that Senate is going to be very objective. Senate is not going to be political. Senate is going to look at facts. I remember I am the one who started this all in Dubai when I told the DCI, you must come and investigate Kiambu because things were not going right. So it is upon now Senate to look for evidence because there was allegation of corruption. You remember there was one time one of the finance officials was found with some money.
Cash in his car.
Cash in a lot of cash in the car.
Yes.
There was a lot of allegation that for any development project to go on in Kiambu, the governor must agree with you. And that is why there was that case of that piece of land. We don't know whether they are true or not. Those were allegations that were messing up with the name of Kiambu County. And that's why we called the investigating arms of government, come over and investigate these facts, so that we have development. I know it has been hurting Waititu a lot. He's been staying at home, watching as the county is being run by others, and he was not elected to do that. Yeah. But you see, we say that when you are dressing up, it you knows which dance you are going to do. When he got involved in those kind of things, I would like to sympathize with him, but I don't have the capacity, right, because it was my county which was being affected. We would, and I know he's not the only one. And when we were talking behind the scenes, that's what Fred was saying, that all governors should be impeached. I think each county has its responsibility of taking action if they think that their governor is corrupt, is spending public funds on his own business. So my hope is that Senate is going to get to the bottom of this. And if they find that he's innocent, they don't impeach him. Right. But if they find that he has misused public funds, if they find that he has misused his authority, if they find that he have misused his office, then there will be no alternative but to impeach him.
Okay. Fred, let me come to you because there's something Ben alluded to, the fact that even when you look at how these prosecutions and investigations are carried out, there seems to be a slant as to the people these investigations are focusing on. And if you're on this particular political inclination, if you're perceived to be tanga-tanga or in that particular regard, then the hammer comes down on you hard. Is this what we're seeing right here? Yeah.
I wouldn't say so, because first of all, I'm not in tanga-tanga, I'm not in Kieleweke.
As an independent observer,
but as an independent observer, I think the law is taking its course, because I want to congratulate the MCAs of Kiambu County. The MCA who moved that motion and was supported by a third of the county assembly members must have had it very difficult, but he managed, or she managed. Today, we have the laws, what we call County Government Act, then we have the Constitution of Kenya. Now, if you look at impeachment or removal of a governor, the law has been followed right from the County Assembly all the way to the Senate, right, and Article 181, and then County Government Act, Section 33. But I said earlier, there is a report called Auditor General Report. That report has given indication and has reported on how money has been misappropriated in various counties, in magnitude, sums of money. And that's why I want to urge all other MCAs to do the same thing. Find grounds, because the grounds are there. Go through the Public Procurement Act, go through the County Government Act, find grounds for misappropriation and any misconduct, violation of the Constitution of Kenya. Then take a motion to the County Assembly so that some of these governors who we don't know where they get their money, we don't know how they build these mansions, we know their salaries, then should be investigated. But if you go that route, there will be politics. And it is that politics that is now coming out, maybe tanga-tanga, Kieleweke. Let us separate politics and the law. Number 3, there's what we call leadership and integrity. Governor Waititu and many other governors, they are state officers. There is a court case, that's okay. But the law requires that the state officers are checked through other means, other than the court process that is ongoing. And that one requires, if there is an issue or there are enough grounds to believe that you have gone against the Leadership Integrity Act, you have gone against the Constitution, then there are repercussions right from the assembly. Right. That has been followed. But I want to say something. The issue in this country, I've said before, is corruption. What is the solution? We can talk and talk, but what is the solution? We have proposed that let us be methodical. We be methodical in fighting corruption by, number one, let us strengthen the office of the Auditor General. Today, as we speak, we don't even have the Auditor General. Right. But let us strengthen that office. How are we going to strengthen? Number one, let us bring in a department within the office, independent office of Auditor General, called Forensic Audit. So it can follow money from the time the money leaves the Treasury to the time the money gets to the county account funds and to the time that money is expended. So that we know if it is Jeff Mote who authorized through IFMIS the release, then Jeff Mote sent it to which account, then that account, what did it do? That way, we are going to be very methodical. And the issue of ODPP that Ben Muller was saying can now be can be strengthened. Lastly, let us not forget that politicians will speak on what favors them. I've seen yesterday, I listened to these charges, the proceedings in the Senate. I can tell you, today Kenyans will be watching. And the Kenyans that are watching, and specifically from maybe Kiambu, they are hopeful that justice will be found. Governor Waititu is also hopeful, but justice will be found. But that will not stop the court case from proceeding, okay, whatever outcome.
Let me come to Honorable Kalembe as well on this. We've seen the National Assembly as a whole, we've seen the Senate deal with various issues, and there's a perception that's coming from the public that nothing will happen there. We've heard of allegations of money trading hands, we've had money being given in toilets. This, once it gets here, we'll watch it all day, and it'll just be as usual. He'll walk away scot-free.
Do we still have parliament? Or is just another market? Because that place is too crowded for any decision to be made, and he knows. Even I don't think he knows each. Hata anatoka kwa ni wapi. Kwa hivyo mimi kwa maoni yangu hata hii katiba yetu ndio tungeangalia. Mimi nimesema hata hiyo mambo ya corruption turudi tena kwa tuangalie ni system gani tutatumia ambao mtu hataonekana, kwa sababu hata saa hii hata hii watu wana vile Mulu amesema lazima uangaliwe wewe unasupportiwa na nani. Let me ask you a simple question. During by election ya Kibra, uliona wa governors kutoka Ukambani. I'm talking about governors kutoka Ukambani. Wakikimbia Kibra. Na hiyo wiki iliyopita walikuwa wamefuatwa na Senate, na wa Senate ilikuwa nasema tutakuja pamoja na watu wa DCI ili tukimalizana na nyinyi mshikwe hapo hapo. Na hiyo yote ilikuwa Audit General alikuwa amesema Makueni kuna issue, kwa Ngilu kuna issue, na kwa Mtwa kuna issue. Wakati walienda kwa baba, wakaenda kusaidia hiyo by election. Uliona wakikimbizwa? I remember Mtwa akisema ako ngambo, sijui akatolewa arrest warrant. So what happened? Ilinyamaza wakati alienda kule. Si ati hakuna my issues, hata terms za Nyanza kuna my issues. But let me ask you, do you know in Kenya kuna watu ambao hawezi guzwa? Watasema hiyo enda polepole. Hii enda polepole. Then twende kwa ile issue tu tumesema tena. The moment wa Kenya watakuwa tuna president ambao si ana watu wana connection watamwambia si ndio tulikusimama na wewe tusaidie. The moment tutakuwa na hiyo president ina hiyo ile system ilikuwa nimesema hii mambo ya corruption ndio itaisha. Kwa sababu nikuulize tena, kuna wakati sisi Limbarile alikuwa amekaribu ashikwa na akina Lumumba. Wakati Lumumba alikuwa anashika wapi? Then parliament walisema nini? Huyu Lumumba mwisho wake utaishia wapi? Utaishia hapo. I remember even Lumumba kuna wakati mwingine alichukua mabango ya miti akielekea kwa Orengo. Wapi ofisini? Wapi lands? Akisema hii lands hata sio ya kuchunguza tena. Na yeye alikuwa mkubwa wa anti corruption. Kwa hivyo na Orengo alifanya chochote? Hakufanya chochote. It is because anaogopewa kwa sababu ni wa mlengo fulani.
So there are some untouchables.
Hiyo ni kitu ambayo ni obvious. Let me tell you. The moment huyu rafiki yangu mtakubaliana tukue na system. Nimesema hivyo. Nimesema kama saa hii tukue na mtu hata saa hii wizi unaendelea wizi mwingi. Hata kwa nini unaona Ruto anakimbizwa anaambiwa nini? Kwa sababu wanasema huyu jamaa ana capacity, anaweza chukua hii kiti. Anaweza huyu ana capacity. Kwa nini wanatafuta hiyo pesa mingi? Kwa sababu ya wanataka kuchukua hiyo viti kubwa. Lakini kama kungekuwa system ambao ujui president ni nani atachaguliwa na hiyo delegates, hakuna mtu angeiba. Kwa sababu utaiba uende kuonga nani. itakuwa imemaliza wizi. Na the moment mmesimamua na kitu kama hiyo delegates, unajua kama president ukikosea wa Kenya, delegates wanaweza kusanyika wasaini kama quota, wasaini waseme tunataka kuleta motion ya kumimpeach Kasarani tena, na kuitwa tena hiyo timu yote iende muimpeach. Na unajua president atakuwa sasa akijua sasa anafanyia wa Kenya. Lakini the moment umechagua Kalende, nimetoka Ukambani, kuna ndugu yangu, kwa sababu saa hii kama Kaparo ama kwa Dhuro angeandika ndugu yake hapa parliament, tungekuwa tumshamfukuza. Lakini the moment president amechaguliwa, kwanza tamu ya pili ni mbaya sana. Wanafanyanga vile wanataka. Na huwezi kumguza. Kuna wakati tulikuwa tunataka kuimpeach Kibaki, lakini tukaambiwa mchunge hata nyinyi ndio wafukuza muende kabla. Unajua hata wakati wa Moi kulikuwa hivyo. Kwa sababu parliament ilikuwa ni president na president ilikuwa ni parliament. Anaweza kuweka hiyo motion na president avunje bunge. Okay, hii katiba ya sasa ilisema hapana. But we must have a system ile ambao vile nimesema investors kutishika na hakuna siasa itaendelea, kwa sababu kama sasa tungekuwa ni delegate inachagua president, saa hii ungesikia siasa zikiendelea. Nyanza mnisupport, Nyanza, kwa sababu Nyanza haitavote. Ukambani inataka mnisupport, hakutakuwa tangatanga na hakungekuwa kieleweke, because utatangatanga nani na bado hujui ni nani atachaguliwa kuwa mbunge.
Okay, let's move on to our last topic of the day. We have 7 minutes. It's on the front page of the Star, all about matters health and the coronavirus scare. One isolated at Kenyatta National Hospital. Death toll exceeds 100 as number of infections of mysterious virus skyrockets. This, of course, was news that broke yesterday. He's in isolation at Kenyatta National Hospital as of now. We'll get the full report from the ministry, as they said, by close of business today. Do you feel the measures taken were appropriate, Ben, or should we have done more? Last week, the CS had gone to the airport, checked the measures being taken, and she said everything is fine as of now. We are adequately prepared. Do you believe that so far?
Of course, I think the actions are necessary and timely. But, you know, we live in a very interesting country where a locust invasion is countered by deploying the military and the police and tear gas. So on this particular coronavirus outbreak, actually we can only pray to God that it does not reach this country, because essentially we do not have the primary capacity to deal with it. And you have seen actually even China, with the advancement in technology and medical capacity, it has proven to be a challenge. Already there are many deaths that are being reported, and it has spread to quite some parts of South and East Asia. So we can only pray to God that this does not become what it is likely to be, because a small infection in this country will be disastrous. And I don't want us to imagine a scenario whereby we deploy the military to JKIA to return the virus to China. Yes.
Fred, I'll come to you, because we've heard about how this particular virus is spread from China. You know, any contact, even before the symptoms are showing, you could have it, and by the time you leave here, now we all have it, and move on to separate ways.
I don't have it.
Thank God for that. But like the ministry said, they contacted the Kenya Airways flight, and the Kenya Airways flight looked at the manifest and told all the passengers on board to go and get checked. Do you feel that is enough as of now, or should the government still follow up on that?
I think we need to do more. Even though the government is trying, we need to do more. Sometimes back I saw when I was traveling domestically, they were doing checks, the screening when you move from one region to another. I think now we need to intensify that. The screenings at the airport entry points, exit points should go on. Number 2, we need to put measures in place, because we are told today of an isolation case at Kenyatta where a student was visiting and there could be symptoms. I think those are news that will make us panic, and I would want to encourage the people of Kenya not to panic. But there's something that was very interesting about this story before it even broke through Kenya news, where the Chinese were building hospitals to deal with it in 6 months, and I saw cranes and tractors. It was very interesting. So I just want to believe the government should move with the same speed as the Chinese, so that we ensure that we put measures in place in terms of controls, screening, and even public information, so that we don't panic.
Right. Honorable Njomo, let me come to you, because, I mean, Parliament also plays a very key role. Are we feeling we're doing enough in terms of making sure the executive doesn't drop the ball on such critical issues in reaction to this virus scare?
Well, I took somebody to hospital yesterday, and I like the way the hospitals are preparing themselves for this kind of thing. There were posters everywhere, you know, telling people what are the symptoms, what causes the disease, what do you do to prevent yourself from the disease. I like that because it's enlightening the people. But on this case of this student, from what I read in the newspapers yesterday, the student symptoms were noticed in the flight, and the flight attendants were able to put the student in isolation. What I didn't like is because people in the plane, you are in an enclosed environment. Those passengers should not have been released into the public without going through some medical checkup. That was a very weak point. That was a wrong decision that was made. So despite the fact that they were able to put this student even at the airport in isolation and then finally taking her to hospital, the passengers should have been screened before being released to public. But let us hope that it was not transmitted. The other thing I would like to say is that I know the cabinet secretary went to the airport to look at our preparedness, and that always happens. You know, we have people who are put there to make sure that they check people who have fever and what have you. But then they'll do it seriously on the first day. Then they relax. Yeah? And then just like the way the Askaris check, do metal detection, they check you. You know, and I saw one time one of the media houses did an experiment where they gave somebody a gun, he walked in, he was checked, and went on doing the business, and nobody noticed. That is exactly what is going to happen at the airport. People are going to relax, people will just be passing, and they are not checking whether they have the fever. So what I would urge those who will have the responsibility to check the people is to remember that if that disease, if that virus comes to Kenya, we do not have the kind of capacity that China has. It could kill all of us. You know, our hospitals right now, go to any hospital, you'll find people sharing beds. So what happens if we have an outbreak? We cannot get enough isolation rooms for them. We don't have the capacity like the China has to build a hospital in a month, which becomes an isolation, a hospital for isolating the sick patients. So really, they have a responsibility to protect us as a country from that virus.
Honorable Kalembe, you've been in government. Are they doing enough? Could they do more? Are we seeing more optics than actual work on the ground?
Me, I don't think they are doing enough, and I don't think Kenya has capacity even to supply the mask. I don't think so. Kwa hivyo nafikiria waanze vile China wamefanya, waanze kujenga hizo vitu. Na kwa maoni yangu, kwa sababu ni ugonjwa ambao unahusika na mambo ni kama mafua, sijui nini na nini, wajaribu kujenga kule mahali kuna joto. Na Kenya yetu iko na space kubwa. Wakienda sehemu kama Turkana, kuna viwanja mingi huko, wanaweza jenga huko. Na labda kuko na hiyo joto mingi, kwa sababu sasa nasikia pia China ni kunoma, kuna baridi mingi. Kwa hivyo inawezekana ukileta hapa Nairobi bado itazidi. Kwa hivyo wakiweka mahali, in fact wakati tulikuwa tunashikwa na mafua, ukienda kwa gym, ingie kwa sauna, hizo vitu zinaishanga tu. Kwa sababu ni joto inahitajika nyingi sana. Kwa hivyo wajenge kule na watenge hizo pesa. Hiyo ndio maoni yangu. Kuna pointi moja nilikuwa nafikiria ni muhimu sana, ni serikali kubali watu watoe maoni yake. Iwe wewe ni wa nini, upinge hata BBI, ufanye nini, watu wasionekane kama ni mapendeleo. Hata huyu ameshikwa, huyu amefanywa nini, kwa sababu vile nimesema, the moment watu wameona wewe unapendelea kitu fulani, wewe unapinga hii, kwa sababu hakuna mtu hataki mageuzi. Sisi wengine tulikuwa kwa yes, tukarudi tukaenda kwa no, na tukasema kuna 5% ya katiba ambao inafaa irekebishwe. Tunakubaliana. But to me, the central thing ya hii katiba yetu na mabibi yetu, hata tukiongea juu ya maendeleo ama nini, ni system yetu ya serikali tuchange.
We have a couple of tweets to look at before we wind up. Junior Mato saying, we are accusing non-existent enemies, Tanga and the digital system. Let's talk about other issues. BBI, Huduma number, Big Four, laptops, stadiums, whatever happened to all of those projects, we need to know. Humphrey Kibe, I do agree with Heshimiwa's, it's impossible for a group of parliament leaders discussing the impeachment of president at this time. Someone somewhere wants to create a diversion, that's what we see. Abraham Chelanga, the money has been used but in small amounts, but huge amounts of our money has been looted. That to Ben's statement as to what the 6 trillion budget has done so far. Let's look at one more tweet before we wind up right there. We have another one at Abe. Since the handshake, the DP has not been comfortable. There's a lot of frustration on the side of the DP, and President seems to be on a great side as far as that's concerned. And then we look at our last tweet this morning, if I can find it. There we go. Kirinyagas finest. Kenya was really not that divided, but what we're currently seeing is a divide and rule kind of situation, hence the drive for BBI. Okay, keep those tweets coming in. You can get us at K24 TV. You can also WhatsApp us. Our number is right there. Or SMS us on 21222 with more information that you have. And any comment, of course, we'll be discussing them right here. Thank you so much for making time this morning. Benula, thank you so much for coming again. Asante sana.
Asante, I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Frederick Okango, SG, thank you so much for making time this morning. Asante sana. Honorable Jude Njombo, first time here. I'm hoping you'll have plenty more.
We need him a lot more.
Yes.
Because, you know, he was the architect of the interest rates cap, and now that it was scrapped, he needs to give us direction in terms of how that is progressing in the
fantastic stuff. We'll be discussing that, of course, later on, and we have him next on the show. And of course, also, Honorable Kalemidile, thank you so much for making time this morning. We want your views to continue coming in. We'll take a short break. We're back on the other side as we get interactive. This is K24 This Morning.